Great. Welcome to our community call tonight. I'm really excited to be sharing with everyone and, of course, hearing and expressing, having a safe place to express a really charged topic and a topic that now more than ever is so just feels like such a calling to enter into and embrace and also energize conversation around cycles of completion, physical, emotional death, endings, beginnings, separation, illness, changes of season, and what that looks like. And so this is community call. Everyone is invited. If you are not able to be live, know that you can know that your energy is included, and also know that you can always reach out if you have questions to feel into, experiences you'd like to feel into together in a really beautiful community where we can really honor each other's positions and really hold each other, embrace each other during times which feel so challenging. And right now, we're in a very challenging time. It's an incredibly uncomfortable time and a powerful time to open these conversations and to recognize that there are aspects of our reality, our old reality, that are dying, let alone the physical and emotional changes, but that. And so this is a really powerful time to join together in community and to embrace what is possible in that presence of love, which we are all here to do. So I just want to remind you that nobody knows you better than you. Anything that I share or anyone else shares, you get to decide what feels right and true for you. In this conversation, in this community call, specifically, when we are talking about energies that feel so delicate, like physical death, transitions, emotional spaces that can feel like in acute depression or sadness, so much going on. It's really an invitation to encourage and love and be present for one another, and not be in a space where we need to fix it, right? Fix it for someone else. We simply show up in presence, in love's presence, and intend to open conversation so that the healing is magnified. So our ability to be present with the uncomfortable, with our ability to recognize that we have neural flexibility. It's the Miracle Monday call that I did for today, that we can always have the ability to tap into the new, regardless of the topic and conversation, regardless of the uncomfortable nature of talking about endings, and specifically physical death, endings and beginnings. And that is really the spectrum of things. And coming out of this really rarefied time, post-pandemic, we're sort of just beginning to enter into that post-pandemic place. Mental health is definitely a place where we can all recognize there's changes, and there are people around us, if not ourselves, that are moving through this really intense place of, I don't know who I am in this new world. I don't know what that looks like. And so we have the opportunity to really tap in and joining together, creating a space where we can feel into that and feel connected and have a safe place to belong. So I want to invite everyone that's live here, and I know I had a few people message me earlier with some questions to feel into or experiences to feel into. I chose Zoom, Macy and I chose Zoom as a place to connect so that you can be more present, so that this feels like an easier engagement. So with that being said, if you have things that are coming up for you, if during this time, this rarefied time, you are noticing that there's some really acute endings and mourning, grief, death cycles that are coming up for you, please feel free to share and express. This is really about us coming together and joining and being able to safely share. Who are we if we have the ability to safely share? And with this topic specifically, it's been something that there's been so much judgment around it. Even the idea, I was thinking prior to tonight, I was thinking into what moved me to Mexico, what was the initiation for my move to Mexico. as a single woman, right? Totally feeling the call, never had been there, just felt the call, was I had a series of physical deaths and endings in my life. And it was undeniable that I was being called into something new. And I had a flash of one of those deaths. One of the funerals I went to was my grandmother. And I remember I'm the oldest of the cousins. And I remember one of my younger cousins who had small children saying something to the effect of, well, I would never bring my children to a funeral. It's not a place for funerals. And that's, no judgment, right? Like that is simply her perspective. But I remember feeling it and feeling even now more than ever. So this was, prior to pandemic, this was probably about almost 6 years ago, that who are we if we feel disconnected from natural cycle? Death, endings, beginnings, the constant shift of energy and experiences, the assignment that we all have here, there is a natural rhythm. There's a natural rhythm to the energy and the elemental nature of seasons. And I just remember her feeling so charged and like shut. And that is totally groovy, totally cool. But recognizing that how can we make the leap from childhood separation, like this is scary to talk about death or funerals or all of those things, and then go into an adulthood and have a very maybe skewed vision of how to feel connected in these cycles. So as I'm talking, please feel free to share and message anything that's popping up for you. I'm going to talk about a few things specifically that were coming up and a few things that are to be shared from some other people. But this is our time together to come together. And we are going to do these ending cycle community calls once a month. And I'm really excited about that. I think it's important when we can join together and have these conversations and create more light around it, create more space for things to be felt and experienced and expressed in a truly loving way and a non-judgmental way, so that we can start to see that 360, so we can start to see that morphic experience. Then it just helps us lighten up the stuff that we don't even know we're carrying. And so I bring up my cousin's experience about my grandmother's funeral and her charge around her kids being there, because it's part of our collective story, part of our collective story, not for everyone, and most certainly maybe not for you, but that there is so much charge and fear around, let's just go into physical death. So much charge and fear around physical death that it is really easy to be ill-equipped for when death shows up. Whether that is a traumatic experience that shows up as if by surprise, maybe a tragic accident, or maybe a quickened experience, or a long, slow shift. And how can we, as facilitators of love's presence, as reflectors of love's presence, how do we tap in to that space that allows us to be able to feel peaceful? Maybe not comfortable, most certainly not always comfortable, but peaceful in those moments that feel incredibly scary, painful. When I say that, I feel that like energy that take your breath away. And this is a place where the more we can have conversation around these things, the more that we become less afraid, and that we have the ability to reflect the peace and honor cycles. One thing I'm really passionate about teaching is through the lens of the fifth dimension, or Christ consciousness, the quantum field that's being birthed on the planet now, is that Christ consciousness, that place where we can see ourselves beyond the 3D polarity of the right and the wrong. And in that Christed energy, it's the opening of perceiving ourselves as whole, perfect, and complete. So we get the wholeness piece, and it's always a practice, right? We get the wholeness piece. We cannot, if we do not feel wholeness within ourselves, and it's a practice to be revisited, then how can we see others as whole? So my intention in my practice is to activate more of that Christ consciousness so I can more and more activate the wholeness and the perfection of the wholeness. Does that mean acts are perfect? That's blurry. What it means is the perfection is I am never where I should not be. I am never speaking in a way that is not supposed to be. The perfection is knowing that I am showing up in a place where I am assigned. That's perfect. We have used the word perfect in this way that this standards, and it's really external. And the perfection, really how I experience it through the quantum field, is the knowing. It's the wholeness is a knowing. It is a guided space of knowing. The perfection is a knowing. I can never be somewhere that I'm not supposed to be. There is a higher order to things that I most of the time cannot perceive for myself. But yeah, here we are. And then I would say whole, perfect, and then the complete aspect, the energy of that in the, in the lens of Christ consciousness. What does that mean? To be complete, to experience completion. To me, in this call tonight, what I would love to lean into is the ability to allow, allow for things to show up and to feel like I can be fully present and also unattached. That completion happens all the time. Cycles of completion are happening all the time in the macro and the micro, right? The big picture and also the finest subtle energy details. And so if I can recognize that we're constantly experiencing completion, moment to moment completion, how can I enter that idea in that completion of cycles? If I am whole, perfect, and complete, how can I honor my wholeness, my perfection, and enter into a place where I recognize I'm unattached? I'm deeply connected to all experiences, living presences on this classroom of love, and also recognize that there is nothing for me to force or push beyond what is truly my call, what I am guided to do. Again, that inner space. So let me check here and see if anyone has anything to share. So feel free to chat away and send little messages as something hits you and feels like an opening, a heart share. So I'm going to, until someone else wants to share something, I'm going to talk about something specific, something that's going on currently in my household and something that's going on collectively. So I want to look at this again in the connection of the closeness as it shows up for you, and also the bigger picture, because we are here as ambassadors of light for so much and for so many. And oftentimes we forget that. We get so encapsulated in our stories of contraction or maybe fear stories that it may feel challenging at times to embrace the new and really recognize how much purpose you are showing up in this moment. So in my household right now, we have a dear friend, my partner John and I have a dear friend, and it's actually my partner John's one of his best friends. And they've been friends longer than we've been together. And we both knew our friend Jeff, his name's Jeff, separately for about a little over 5 years. And like I said, John is incredibly close to Jeff. They're brothers. Jeff is about 10 years older than my partner, John. So he is 76. And he just came to stay with John while I was in Portland for a week, and they had a great visit. but he is rapidly declining. He is having a lot of stroke activity, and he's not able to physically function the way he did. He wasn't able to really walk around the block. He is extraordinarily forgetful, which was sort of his nature anyway, but more so now. He says he loses words if you have a conversation with him. Sometimes he'll say, I can't find the words, and he'll just shake his, nod his head. There's definitely a few things that are coming up for him that are signs of, decline, physical decline, right? And we're specifically the physical body decline. Well, my partner, John, was very surprised by the Jeff that showed up at the house not this last Saturday, the Saturday before. And it really upset him. It really upset him for a number of reasons. This is one of his very best friends. This is someone he loves so much, and they're brothers. They're very connected spiritually. It brought up for John the idea of ending cycles in his face, right? If this is happening to my friend, this is also in my future. It's in all of our futures. And for John, my partner John, for his response or let's say reaction, is he is a can-do guy. That's what he would tell you. He's a can-do guy. And he was really jolted or rocked by Jeff. And so what he did was he wrote down a 5-part plan for Jeff to reclaim his health. There's things he can do to, he can get into PT. There's neurological exercises for mental stimulation. There are lots of things that he can do that could potentially support his current state into being a little more autonomous, because he is losing faculty to be able to travel and do the things that he loves to do on his own and has always done. He's a world traveler, like he's been there, done that kind of guy. And so John wrote down this big list of things, and he shared it with Jeff, and Jeff started twitching. He starts getting twitchy. He starts to shake rapidly. And so John, they have a very close relationship, so they can be very honest with one another. And John said, what's up? And Jeff shared that for him, it was really upsetting to have John talk about these things. It feels overwhelming to him. It feels scary to him to have like all of these, like a list of things that John perceives are in his best interest. And so I'm going to pause there and just take a breath with me and just recognize how we all dance this dance, like what is mine to do, especially as sensitive beings, empathic beings. What is mine to do, and what's truly loving and supportive, and what's also feeling forced, right? So Jeff was really overwhelmed by John's support. And I talked to John, throughout my trip and checking in, and I could feel his emotional exhaustion on having to do what he called elder care for his friend. And also the other piece to that is it's in his face, as he is, John's 67. So he's about 10 years, 66. He's about 10 years younger than Jeff. So it's sort of in his face. And what I brought up was something that is really dear to my heart. And that is the ability to choose. And what I reminded John was that this is Jeff's classroom. And although you may be very open to the 5 steps that you can do to support your physical and emotional body, specifically physical, to be able to function at a level that you're wanting to function at, that may not be Jeff's story. In fact, what I perceive and what I've shared with John and I've talked to Jeff about over the last couple of years, as he's had some of these stroke experiences, is that my sense is he just wants to let go. He just wants to let go. And what is ours to do ethically and in love's presence as we recognize different seasons for different people? Can we truly show up with an open heart and push nothing and simply be love's presence, offer support, offer service, and have yet no demands on what that looks like for the other person? Really letting them choose. And then going further than that, this is someone that doesn't recall a conversation from an hour. His short-term memory is very declined. At that point, where do you step in and offer direct support, knowing that this person is no longer functioning at a capacity that maybe they're able to make choices for themselves as they once did? So this is an important conversation to feel into, as this is reflective to all of us. If you're attracted to anything that we share here in Love's presence, you're sensitive. You're acutely sensitive. And how do we activate that deep peace, that deep space of love, and release the attachment and truly be of support for someone else's choice, even though it may not be ours, right? Even though it may not be something that we would choose. If John had his way with Jeff, and Jeff has the financial means to do, he would hire someone to do PT, like an aide, someone to really help him and activate him to maybe opening up some new neurology, maybe tapping into neuroplasticity, seeing what's possible. Jeff's not there. And because Jeff's not there, how can we step back and really honor their classroom? And so this is an activated conversation because we're all coming from it from different places. And for you, this may prompt you in your own experiences, whether it is knowing someone going through a decline or knowing someone that has stepped out of body. Mental health right now is a huge factor collectively as people are coming back into this new world, feeling more and more overwhelmed by their sensitivity. How do I show up in that place as I once have? And I would say, can you? But can you? Are you to show up as you once have? Because is that gone? So I'm going to check and see if anyone is sharing. Please message if you have anything to share. Yeah. Krista, tell me, you are someone that I know you have a lot of completion and, oh, here we go. Feels like I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Okay, perfect. That's exactly what I was going to tap into. Like you, like so many, are feeling like, okay, what is next? What is next? Um, and I really feel strongly right now, it is not going to be necessarily so obvious. What it is going to be is that inner whisper. There absolutely will be symbols and evidence of movement, but because we're in this really different energetic landscape, the division of these two earths, right? The 3D collective polarity story, which honestly awesome to experience lately, especially watching, traveling and seeing how much has changed. So many places I used to share with clients and friends that Portland, the Northwest was a super heavy place. And I was just there and I feel like it's lightened up in ways that I've not experienced it in many, many, many years. There's something happening. So there is something happening now And yet, it's like the Miracle Monday call that I sent out today. It's really about the neuroplasticity and the neural flexibility. Can I let go of my attached ideas of what that needs to look like? Can I trust completely that I'm a trust fund kid and wherever I'm supposed to be is going to show up? How does that feel? So again, Krista, with your message, I would pose to you, how do I know I'm doing the right thing? How could you not be doing the right thing? Would be that perfection. Yes, just listening. Yes, how could you, if we change our mindset from the doing activation of the 3D paradigm that wants to box us into this idea that once we'll know when we get there because it'll be clear, right? The physical nature of it will guide us along. It's like this machine. And because of this time on the planet, the machine is broken. The machine is going through repair. And so more than ever, really trusting ourselves to be able to tap into this idea of, I don't know how this looks, but I can be peaceful about it and know that it's coming. Yes, I would say this next eclipse, but Krista, intuitively speaking, I would say June. I believe once we get through that Sagittarius eclipse, which is, let me tell you, um, it's a super full moon Sagittarian. Oh, it's June 14th. It might not be an eclipse, but it might be. I think by mid-June, uh, there is going to be a lot more clear guidance. And I do think that there's a shuffling that happens at that point. And the energy is calling us to different spaces. And how do we recognize, how can we love ourselves when we're feeling this confused and unsure? How can we create a story that allows us to feel peaceful? Yes, I want to let go of fixed ideas and I feel ready, but they don't seem. Macy, I'm going to pull that up again. Yeah, I want to let go of fixed ideas and I feel ready, but they seem to be really attached. Does that make sense? I'm letting go over and over, and it's not always peaceful inside. It's super uncomfortable, super duper uncomfortable. And I think what you're sharing, what Krista's sharing, with so many are sharing, is this just absolute emotional exhaustion through this process, this rebirth process. And I think we have been so indoctrined for millennia to be very fixed in even unconsciously fixed in an idea of where our safety lies, as women, as men, what our roles are. And we're seeing all of that sort of shift very quickly, but it also is incredibly uncomfortable. And I think it's really important to honor the discomfort and just, this is uncomfortable. And I'm going to add to that. I mean, today is May 9th, it's Monday. So if someone's listening to this later, I trust the timing of this and all things. But I would say I know very few people that have not had some sort of viral physical thing going on lately. There is just a lot of stagnation and emotional stuff coming up that's looking like, people are using the word the crud, like I've got the crud, and it's lingering. It's lingering for a long time. People that are really relatively healthy are having this cruddy stuff showing up. And I am looking at that as an energy medicine practitioner and going that there's so much emotional stagnation that has been bound into our DNA and cellular memory, our epigenetics, that is almost this idea of predetermined who we were supposed to be until now. And as we are entering this place of now, where everything is possible, it's exhausting. Because if everything is possible and yet there's so much weight shedding off of me, I just want to take a nap, right? I want to I want to know that when I wake up, everything will be different. And yet here we are waking up and remembering. So yeah, I hear you about the peaceful yes to naps. Yes, 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 yes. You know, resting right now is so important because there's so much happening in our inner world. Um, that's why, again, the Miracle Monday call, I really felt called to invite people into a practice, a personal practice where they can just for a moment allow for a little more space for the guidance to rise so that the monkey mind isn't trying to determine the next move because everything is so charged. Where am I to be now? It feels so amped up. The voltage is so high. It's exhausting. And interesting enough, I just saw today that we just had another spike in Schumann's resonance. So this is the normal. The energetic engagement in our life cycles. This is normal. Um, yeah, so feel free to keep messaging. I'm going to move on to another space that another energy that someone shared with me recently in the lens of death. And it wasn't necessarily physical death, emotional death, grief, and mourning. And I think it's very relatable to so many of us. So that is someone reached out to me a couple weeks ago after our last community call on acutely sensitive beings and shared something very personal that she was experiencing. She knew she was adopted. She's an adult, right? She's a grown woman with 4 children. She shared with me that over the last few years, she reconnected with her birth family, and she really felt connected to her, specifically her birth mother, because they look so much alike, physically alike. They had very physical body shapes. Well, her birth mother, she shared, she goes, I don't know why I'm upset by this, but I just really want to talk about it. Like, my birth mother had gastric bypass or some sort of surgical intervention to shed a lot of physical weight, and she looks different now. And for this woman who was sharing this, she felt sadness. She felt not, I would say maybe a little anxiety or maybe a little resentment or just uncomfortable by the idea that she no longer physically looked like her birth mother, who she had just gotten to know, let's say in the last 5 years, 6 years. And because of that physical shift, she felt disconnected. And we talked, and I said, this is death. It's important to recognize these seasons, these cycles of completion, and honor them. Of course, you're happy for your birth mother that she made that choice because it was her choice. And isn't it beautiful that you can be present with your feelings, even the uncomfortable ones, and recognize that you're sad, that you no longer look like the birth mother that you've just recently gotten to know. You no longer have the same shape. And it's okay to be sad. And it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to feel the feelings in the most useful and resourceful way without creating a story of wrongness. Because she was feeling really angry at herself that she had so much challenge around the idea of her mom choosing her health, her biological mom making this radical decision to go through surgery and choose her health, and yet feeling that space within her. And it's perfect to feel those feelings and to honor that journey, honor that space, and what's possible when we communicate. You know, through the neural mirror, so we've talked about neural fluidity or plasticity, which allows us to create neural synapses. And I think heightened in the quantum field, it's allowing us to perceive beyond what we thought was possible. That is what's happening now. That is that sweet spot entering into the still point where that we can perceive beyond what we thought is possible if we just create enough room for that to show up. If we create enough room where everything and anything is possible, what if we just lean into it and allow for those things to invite us in? Our fixed ideas, the stuckness, the stickiness that's coming out right now is wanting to, rage at us that we need to be fearful of day-to-day life, of things that we may not be safe, we may not have resources, we may not be of purpose or service. And again, if we step back and get quiet in the pause, how, if love only perceives love, and this is the classroom of love, and we are all ambassadors of love in love's presence, how can I tell a new story? How can I create new self-talk that is truly loving, that allows me only to see love and also allows me to be with the uncomfortable stuff, no matter what it is? And dialogue, even if it's inner dialoguing, telling something that we don't feel locked into place or stuck into an experience that feels like we are unable or imprisoned by the idea of our past, right? So I'll pause and see if anyone else has anything else to share. How is this feeling, everyone? How is this feeling? If you feel into this idea that we're in this very rarefied time, and I believe we're entering into uh, a crystalline DNA activation, an expansion into the collective quantum field, our realities are changing, our inner worlds are changing. And so this idea that we are all little babies that need to be held in love, embraced in belonging, that we get to feel safe with our feelings and our sensitivities, and really disconnect this idea of fixing it for someone else, or of feeling like our job is to put ourselves in positions that maybe are no longer supportive for us. But what if we create a new experience around that that allows us to be really present and not stuck in an idea of the should haves? Well, I should be doing this, or why didn't this person do this, right? Whatever our stories is. So as we imagine ourselves in this very rarefied time, it's important to really look at how we rest, how we support our self-love, which is most certainly our lifestyle, our practices, our spiritual practices that allow us to connect into what is possible in the healing, energetic potential of now, which is completely and radically different than what it was this morning. And if we can all agree that is possible, even if you're not fully there, if that is possible, then how can we possibly know what is coming for us? Because everything that we would perceive around it would be much smaller than what the true possibility or true potential is. Beautiful. So I'm going to move us into just a little energy work to feel our feelings in the most useful and helpful and resourceful way possible as we create a little more space, specifically solar plexus and diaphragm, as we move into a place to allow for healing of the things that we know of and the things that we are unaware of in the unconscious world. So as I am entering into this place, please feel free to continue to message and share your experiences. We'll just do a little energy work, and then if anyone has anything else to share before we wrap up this community call tonight. So if you're able to, I'll just ask that you get comfortable and allow yourself to just really drop in. For me right now, I'm sort of moving my tailbone around. I'm on a meditation bench and just allowing for my sacrum and tailbone to sort of speak and anchor me in. So if you're able to do that, just listen. Even if you're like a regular meditator and you have a position that is your zone, What if we open up just a little bit more to this idea of new experience and just connect in? I can trust the guidance from my physical, emotional, and mental bodies to support me in the energy that allows me to connect into the pure potential of love now. Okay, so let's just take a few deep breaths together. Softening our shoulders. You may want to open up your chest. Softening our jaw so that we can really allow and safely honor what is moving through us, the unraveling and the remembering that is moving through us. And as I'm saying this, this unraveling and remembering can bring up a lot of fear. It can bring up a lot of stories of, well, what am I to do with this? Or am I safe? For I believe everyone that will be hearing this, there's some unconscious or conscious thoughts about, if people really knew who I was, would I be safe? So we're going to lean into the idea that you're safe here and now always. And that, guess what? People really do know who you are. They may not understand you. They may not be able to articulate that, but they feel. And that may be a place of projection and charge, and that's okay, right? Everyone gets to have their classroom. Beautiful. So let's bring our awareness now to the heels, both sides of our heels, and just imagine gently hands coming up and just rubbing the back of your heels and moving the energy up the heels and then back. And doing this with a little bit of strength, elongating the heels, allowing that your feet, when you're walking, that you feel as connected at the very back of your heels as you do at your toes. When we are dealing with a lot of trauma or endings, uncertainty, we can consciously or unconsciously walk on our toes, constantly leaning forward, ready at any moment for energetically to run from the dinosaur. But let's just imagine that we're bringing that energy up the back of our heels and allowing them to elongate. And then let's really bring some weightedness there. So just feel the intention and the energy at the back of the heels and let it feel sturdy. Let this feel stabilizing, right? That we get to feel stabilizing. We get to feel stable even in the moments where we are uncertain, uncomfortable, super challenged by ourselves and most certainly those around us, that we can still feel stable in our physical experience, in our emotional and energetic experience, to be in a place of allowing. Beautiful. I'm just going to come now to our knees, both sides. So I'm going to be at the top of the knees here. Yeah. And I'm coming around. Oh, I'm feeling a lot of charge at the jaw. So there's something here around our knees, top of knees. And this idea, it feels like maybe some unconscious disconnection from the foundation, the bottom of our legs, our calves and our feet, to the upper leg, into hips. Yeah. So let's just be with the top of the knees. And let's just invite more connection and balance, foundational connection, foundational balance. Rising and dropping, that there is constant flow in all directions, front, back, up, down, as above, so below. Beautiful. I'm going to come around now. I'm going to go to the left side of your knee. So I move from the top to the side, left side, outer line. And we're just going to imagine just stretching that space a little bit. I feel like some of us may have felt a little shortened on the left side, a little tighter on that left line. We just want to open up that experience so that we can feel balanced and open to guidance, to the activation of the new voltage and energy that you are here to reflect and represent. Beautiful. I'm going to come right back down to the bottom of the left foot. I'm just going to tap right there, right by your arch. And just imagine me stretching, or you're stretching the bottom of that foot, left side, allowing for this flexibility and this elongation to open up all the way down. And of course, when it opens up all the way down, it's going beyond our feet because we are so much more than our physical bodies. Beautiful. Yeah, so right now I'm feeling really called to work on our psoases. So for those of you that do not know, I encourage you to check out, do a little research on psoas. It is a very powerful muscle and it can hold us up and help us to be elongated and centered, but also when we have a lot of emotional trauma, emotional pain, it can be our lifeline or also ancestral. It can be held in psoas. So right now I'm going to go in between. So imagine going right next to your left hip and feel, if you can feel some tight muscles right there that want to connect into the groin, and then it goes up to the back of the ribs. So we're just going to breathe into it. And we don't ever have to be forceful with energy medicine. We can apply physical pressure, but we can also just know that energetically I can receive all things without it having to be physical, because we're telepath, because we're energy beings. We are so much more than our physical stories. Beautiful. So just imagine just taking the psoas muscle and just stretching it. For some of you, as I'm here working on this and you're feeling this energy, you may have waves of nausea come up. When we have really tight psoas experiences, we have shrunken down. We are guarded. We are guarding our core. We're guarding our organs. We are in contraction. And when we open this place up, we can have real waves of nausea. We can have incredible discomfort there. It can hold a lot. So just be with it. Breathing in. Beautiful. Let's go to the right side. And for some of you, you may notice that one side is more cranky than the other. I'm noticing in tonight's call, a real call to pay special attention to the left side in energy medicine. The left side would be past and feminine. It would represent that. It can represent so much more than that too, but just knowing that there's an opening happening here. So let's just come around to the right side, same place, psoas. And just let's soften this energy here. And what I'm going to do is come to the back of the spine and just sort of scoop that psoas muscle and just gently massage, touching it, tapping it, allowing it to expand lovingly and easily, opening you up. Again, some of you may feel a little nausea. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. So now we're going to come up to diaphragm. So diaphragm is going to begin right below our rib cage, above the solar plexus, really connected here. And as we talk about cycles of completion, endings and beginnings, there's so many people right now that have had a lot of chest crud and chest stuff. And most certainly that diaphragm is speaking to us. It's unraveling unconscious old stories, stagnation, stickiness, yuckiness, right? Old stuff seeping up, and it can feel very heavy here. So what we're going to do is just come around the mid side and we're just going to gently open up the space. So I'm just coming and doing some really gentle waves around the diaphragm, lower ribs, Okay, great. And let's go to the back side again, opening up the space. I feel a lot of achiness here. You know what? We're gonna take a pause from diaphragm and go into right side kidney. Mhm. Yeah, so let's just connect in here. How are we processing? Are we able to perceive sweetness? Are we able to perceive kindness? Are we able to perceive within ourselves the love and kindness and generosity and graciousness that we are? Can we perceive that within ourselves? Can we perceive that within ourselves so that we can perceive that within others? So, okay, let's just do a little work right now around gallbladder. We're just going to tap on that gallbladder and we'll do gallbladder liver, just gentle taps. And there's, energy medicine. This would be a palpitation. So I'm actually over the area and gently pulsing or tapping without ever physically touching. And what we can do is just open that area of experience to allow for the emotional unconscious to become clear and receive it in the loving presence that it is without an attachment to the story. We can get very lost in the idea, well, I can't believe that, or get really supercharged by old memories. And what if we can just simply perceive them as a necessary engagement in our classroom of love without it being a big story of wrongness or even rightness? Okay, beautiful. Let's come into our breaths here. Let's just breathe into this space, allowing the energy of the breast to feel connected into the quantum now as nurturing, as expansive, as feminine, as balanced, as opening, nourishing. Okay, bring it into the sidelines here too, right under armpits, both sides, allowing the space to really connect us into that space where we can move any stagnation that have been held in this idea of feminine energy, breast energy, mother energy, right? We're just really being with it. And it's absolutely perfect to feel emotion here, right? We want our emotions to come up for the healing. We want to repress nothing and allow for everything. Beautiful. So I'm just going to go right at the top of breast area, breastbone right here, below collarbone. Just tapping in, high heart, just feel into the space and just gently touch and see if you're noticing anything. So as I'm here, I'm feeling a lot of stimulation at the left side, top of my head, left side. So there's a lot of energy moving, a lot of opening here. Beautiful. Let's come around the sides of the neck now. And if you're able to, you can pinch the neck to activate vagus nerve, helping us to feel peaceful, expansive, spacious, right? Helping us to really feel an opening, both sides, safe no matter what, releasing that fight, flight, or frozen energy and connecting into the rest and digest, which is where where our neural flexibility or plasticity is awakened. If I can rest and allow the guidance and information to move through me, I'm in a place of openness, a place of creativity. Beautiful. Let's go to the back of the head. And just if you can imagine really stretching the back of your neck, even the back of your head, imagine it just growing, growing, growing. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so now let's come up to the front forehead, third eye, and we're just going to do some gentle swooping technical energy term, swoop. Swoop, gently swoop above and around the eyes, into the cheeks. It's almost like you're making little crescent moons right here, softening the space. Beautiful. Let's come back to the jaw, and we're going to do again a little palpitation on the outside of the jaw, both sides. And for some of you, you may want to stretch the jaw as you're here. You may notice a lot moving, a lot of crankiness. There's a lot of crankiness right now. Instead of pretending it's not there, what if we just say it's there? But I know there are tools to help me with the discomfort. Even if I'm still uncomfortable, there are tools. Beautiful. I'm coming right now below the chin and the jaw, right here, the soft part. It's almost the bottom palate of your mouth. And just imagining this space, opening it up again. Remember, the energy is we're like little babies right now in this new earth school. And as little babies, we have very soft palates, right? We have very, we're delicate. We have this delicate nature of us because we're expanding so much energetically, and we're constantly shifting and pixelating our energy. And we can be so gentle with ourselves, so loving and nurturing for ourselves, that allows us to access more of our true nature. Beautiful. So let's just take a moment and breathe. Some of you may want to sigh with me. I love a sigh. And for me, what I know about my family is I've always been a sigher. And if you're like me or come from a family that has a lot of charge about sighing, they're like, well, what's wrong? Something, you're not happy or something. And it's never that, or maybe it has been that, but most certainly it's just moving energy. And there's so much distortion about how we can care for ourselves and our energy, that even the idea of sighing or expressing and moving energy through, allowing for the energy to flow, can create a charge. Again, these are overlays. These are overlays of reality that have been, dictated to us, and that so many of us have carried with us, so that we feel like we don't quite fit because there are things that we love to do to support ourselves that maybe make other people feel uncomfortable. What if we can connect into the idea that as we awaken our healing and our wholeness, our perfection, our completion, that everyone else is going to find their journey? We get to simply reflect that love. Beautiful. Let's rub our hands together. And let's join in just a gentle and loving prayer in the intention of love's presence, that we can be together and share and feel safe to express and communicate in areas, in ideas and experiences that may feel very supercharged, may feel very vulnerable, may feel a lot of fear, but we can be as safe in this space because we know we are never alone. We are always connected in love's presence. We are always connected in purpose, in community, beyond the physical. And so it is. And so it is. Before we wrap up this call, I just want to check in and see if there's anything that anyone else would like to share about this call tonight, anything that you're noticing or feeling in energy work. How was this? I'm really grateful for our time together. I'll just do a little calendar and just to see if anyone wants to share while I'm reading off. So next Monday night, same time, same place, we have a Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse. We're going to do it here on Zoom because it's easy to connect, and we can have real-time engagement. That was wonderful. Thank you for being here, Krista. And then the following Monday, so we have community calls, moon calls, and community calls every Monday of May for the rest of May. So next Monday, Scorpio full moon, lunar eclipse, 5:30 Pacific. Monday the 23rd, we have a community call again, and this will be for acutely sensitive beings, creating more dialogue, understanding, and community around these rapidly changing times, whether we have children or people around us, and our own sensitivities as we lean into this new paradigm that allows us to connect into our essence beyond what we thought is possible. So beautiful. And then May 30th, new moon, Gemini, right here. So excited. So excited for this. I so appreciate you all being here, whether you're live on this call or you have listened to the replay. I know your energy has absolutely been included. Continue the conversation on Mighty Networks, Love's Presence. We're really excited about that. It is a public page. Yay, Susie. It is a public page, and these community calls, moon calls are accessible there. Anyone can join, you just have to sign up. We also have a subscription platform, which is including Miracle Monday meditations and also some energetic activations, audio meditations, etc. As that the Miracle Monday and the practitioners our practice, where that's a subscription piece, as people sign up for that, I am asking them to help create that library, share with me different videos, energies, things you'd like to have a little bit more context or content around for the library, and we're going to build that up. We're so excited. We have so many exciting things planned here on Love's Presence Mighty Network. And we are really excited to connect and share with you as you are all bioluminescent. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just going to check the messages, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, perfect. That was wonderful. Yes, Jeanette. So I would just say continue to be gentle and kind to yourself as we are in some really clunky energy. I do believe that this feels my guidance is that this does feel a little bit more twisty, and I'm literally twisting in different directions. That's sort of what it's going to feel like, my sense physically and emotionally, as we navigate this eclipse season and enter into June. Necessary, super necessary. Get the support that you need, the community you need to feel loved and seen as we are all navigating this. You are so purposed. You are so here in a direct assignment, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this season on this Planet Earth Love School with all of you. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.